And how are you, Mr. Kumalo?
Afternoon, sir. I'm good, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. And Mr. Mbambo, how are you? Are you good? Yeah? No? Okay, Ms. Mbele, welcome. Right, so what I'm going to just go through is the slides for procure to pay. And this is the unit that we're talking about. Last week, I did the workshop where I actually did the practical aspect of entering S4HANA, and I was able to log in with my ZMB 000 username and my password, which I'm not going to tell you. And I was able to access the Get a Break supplier. Well, obviously they would do Get a Break, right? They're getting a breaks. So here we're going to go through the slides, and what I'd also like to play for you is the video from Mr. Kwamaka Walemba, right? And under this section, Procure to Pay, we identify and describe the organizational structure, what's master data, what are the typical procure to pay processes. We will execute a procure to pay transaction processing on SAP S4HANA, which we have done. I thought it'll be a good idea to do the practical work and then to go to the theory. So I'm going a little bit out of order. I'm going backwards and forwards. Then we'd like to recommend appropriate operational and management reports necessary to support procure to pay. Let's look at the organizational structure. Under organizational structure, we're going to be talking about the client, the company code, the plant, the storage location, the purchasing organization, and the purchasing group. So we know what's our client number, we know the company code, and if you did the practical work, you'll realize that we are dealing with a company in Lusaka, and there's various suppliers to that company. Under master data, we'll be talking about the vendor master data, the material master data, the purchasing information record. Under procure to pay, the business processes, we'll be talking about the purchasing requisition, selecting a vendor, what's a purchase order, the goods receipt, invoice receipt, and ultimately the payment to the vendor. Now, if you attended Monday's lecture or if you watched Monday's lecture, you would have realized that we made a purchase from Get a Break supplier. We needed to have made a purchase and made a payment to them. We'll be dealing with a little bit of the accounting procedures under this SAP S4HANA ERP system. Then we'll be talking about, now, by the way, this is our long-term project in terms of the next few weeks, how and what we're going to do. We'll be talking about procure to pay risks, controls, and reports. And finally, this is where we're supposed to have done the workshop, but I already started this with you, the procure to pay workshop. And we will go on to the next unit after this. This should take us a good couple weeks of lectures, right? So I'm going to go to the top of the screen where they talk about the slides. There's the slides, procure to pay slides. Let's open that up. And let's make that a little bit bigger. Let's see if I can close that. Well, let's open this up in Adobe. Let's save that down there. Procure to pay. Save that. And I'm going to open up Adobe because I like to see it under Read View. Are you all still with me? Unmute. Say hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Hello. That's great. I miss this face-to-face lecture. I don't know whether my students are here with me or they're not with me. So I'm opening up Adobe. On Mondays, at Monday's lecture, by the way, I had the part-time lecture. Some of you didn't attend, and I did send the invite and I didn't send the WhatsApp. Right, so let's open up File, Open, and there's Procure to Pay. Don't worry, you don't have to take down all the notes. I will upload this to our MS Teams, and I will also the recording available to those people who miss it. But if you want to take down, make notes, that's also good. Right? So now can you see we getting to get to the postgrad level? If you looked at the other notes, the SAP S4HANA initial notes, it was only having undergrad or beginner. Now we're talking more postgrad work. Ha, ha, ha. Aren't you feeling cool now that we are into postgrad work? Okay. All right. Just to let you know that DUT is also implementing an ERP system, and they are going to be implementing the HR component or the HR module in the ERP system. And when I listened to that lecture this morning, or the presentation from Dr. Imshali, I'm thinking to myself, guess what? My students, my IT5 students, they would be able to seek employment at DUT because they are using the SAP S4HANA ERP system. Isn't that cool? Mr. Naya, isn't that cool? Ms. Jagannath, Miss Mbele, Mr. Hadebe. Oh, I can see some clapping hands. Yay, right? So under Procure to Pay, we've done the practical work, but we're going to go to the theory now, right? So I'll play this game of going back and forth, back and forth. This unit focuses on the Procure to Pay process. We describe the organizational levels. What's master data? I think you saw that master data where I was able to select screws and nuts or brakes or tires. And then we'll look into the purchase requisition, the purchase order, goods receipt, and invoice verification. So the learning outcome units, we are given a business or an organization scenario. Talk to me, anybody, what business are we are into? Mr. Kumalo, what business? I'll give you a hint, it starts with a Z. Mr. Hadebe, Ms. Mbele, Mr. Nkisi, Ms. Jagannath, what's the business or the organization? Zambikes. Yeah, we're looking into Zambikes, right? And identify and describe the organizational structure that we're going to be looking into that. And what's the master data? Describe a typical procure to pay process. I've done practical work with you on Monday. What are the steps involved? Perform the procure to pay transaction processing. You need to display a master data, create a purchasing information. In fact, I did that very as a demo, but I'd like you to do that. Create a purchase order, the goods receipt, the invoice receipt from the vendor, and post payment to the vendor. Analyze a business organization scenario. The business organization scenario we're going to look at is Zambikes. Tiriska, Ms. T. Jagannath, just had a question to you. Did you watch the Zambikes video on YouTube?
Yes, I watched the 20-minute video.
Yay, great. Instead of watching the cat videos.
Yeah, I don't watch all those things.
Oh, you don't watch cat videos anymore. Good. So now you know the business organization or the business scenario. And just to test you, Ms. Jagannath, what are some of the products that the Zambikes organization manufacture and sell?
Okay, they make the bamboo bikes and they make metal bikes as well, and then they have the Zambulance and then they also have like another sort of attachment that can carry like farmer produce and stuff for farmers. So I don't know. I can't remember what it's Zam cart.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm so happy. That means Miss Jagannath, Chidiska Jagannath, she did watch the video. Now,
I did watch it.
I'm so happy. Well done. You know, if we were in school, I would have taken you on an excursion and we would have went and visited Zambikes. But because it's COVID and it's lockdown, we can't go and see the Zambikes factory. Okay, Chidiska?
Okay, sir.
Okay, Clinton, that was a joke, Clinton, because it's in another country. And Clinton's not here to laugh. And I'm not rich to take all of you on an excursion to Zambikes. Oh man, y'all don't get my jokes. This is bad. This is bad. Better not change my day job. Right. So we're talking about the Zambikes. Let's go on. The organizational structure, the master data, the procure to pay process, and ultimately we need to report on that, right? What's the organizational structure of Zambikes? In Zambikes, we have the client, who is the highest hierarchical unit in the SAP system, our SAP system, and our version is, anybody knows? What version are we talking about of our ERP system? I keep on talking about it.
SAP Fiori.
Yes, S4HANA. Yes, the Fiori Launchpad. SAP S4HANA, and it deals with the Fiori Launchpad. Cool, cool. Then we're talking about independent business entities, the corporate group, the data specification. What's the company code? You will see that in the Fiori Launchpad. There's a number associated with the company. And you must remember the Zambikes organization, they deal with a number of companies. They don't just deal with, you know, on a local basis. They're also international. They actually export their products. And we'll go on to plant organizational storage location. Oh, when I was thinking about this, I got to tell you this story. I'm not sure if you'll watch the news, but presently in the UK, they are experiencing a gas shortage. And one of the companies that was involved in this was a company that was located offshore, and they did not store their gas. Apparently, they were selling the gas off to other European countries, and now they have to buy it back because they did not cater for storage. Oh, what do you think of that? Huh? If you got Sky TV, watch it, or BBC News, they're talking about, this is pretty big news right now in terms of their storage capabilities and not being able to provide energy to their customers. Right, so in the SAP system, the organizational level is structured and to represent, we can go and read that. Right, let's go. Organizational structure, the purchasing organization. The purchasing organization is responsible for procuring services and materials. Another word for procuring is you buying the service, or you retrieving it, or you're getting it, right? Services and materials. You will need to select the supplier, negotiate the condition of the contract, set the pricing conditions. Now, we did this for a practical, as a practical example. We went and selected a supplier. And I remember the joke I made with you was about get a break. B-R-E-A-K-E, get a break, having a break from me. Ha ha. Oh, someone's laughing. Yeah, T. Jagannath got the joke. Yay, yay. Y'all have a break from me on a Thursday and a Friday. I don't even send y'all WhatsApp messages on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, okay? Unless it's important, but I don't, right? So you'll have a break. But the break we're talking about was B-R-A-K-E. Differentiate between the plant, the cross-plant, and the cross-plant. Now, this will make sense when you do more of the practical work, all right? Let's go on. The purchasing group represents the buyer or the group of buyers that are responsible for certain purchasing activities. We are internally, we will do the purchase requisition. We will get the vendor quotes. We'll create a purchase order. This we attempted to do on Monday, where we entertain the idea of a purchase order, PO number, right? We got that. Let's go on. Right, so there's the SAP organizational data element. We went through this, we looked at it. The Zambikes, look at that. They're located in Lusaka, but they also deal with other countries as well. Procure to pay, the master data. The master data supports the everyday purchasing process by being used across software applications, organizational functions, and business processes. Now, today I attended a webinar where they was talking about the library function. The library functions with software, and they introduced a new type of software called Folio. And we also have the ITSS software, the one that has all your marks, your biographical detail, and all of them at DUT is under the Knowledge Information Officer. That's Dr. Charlie. So all the data, all the little modules, and now we're going to have an ERP system coming in place with the HR, and all of them put together will constitute, in my view, a big database, and all of them will have the master data records in there. So if I want to find out what is Ms. T. Juggernaut's contact details, I can go to the ITS system and I can pull out her record. And when I pull out her record, I'll be able to view maybe her cell phone number, her home address, or maybe I want to know what's her marks over the last couple of years. And guess what? They do have a system like that in place as well, the AutoScholar software. So all of that data will be stored in one central location, and when and how I need a particular aspect of that data, I will retrieve it accordingly, right? You can go in terms of the purchasing. We'll talk about the master data, the supplier data, the purchasing information, and what conditions. We are doing some renovations at home and we're dealing with the builder, and we asked for a discount. That's a common thing you do, right? So you're asking for a discount. Is it 3%, 4%? And the terms of reference. How much do you want as a when will the final payment be done? How long will it take to install? Those are conditions of service. For example, the conditions of service between you and I. I'm your lecturer, you are my student. We have lectures on a Monday at 2 and on a Wednesday at 2. Oh, and for the part-time people, now I have to have a part-time lecture at 8 o'clock. So tonight at 8 o'clock, I will be repeating this lecture, which I repeated on Monday as well. I thought Miss N the Monday will join me. She normally joins me for the part-time lectures. I don't know what happened there, right? Okay, or maybe she'd like to watch the video, the recording. By the way, on Monday, I may have to change my condition of service between you and me, meaning I won't be able to see you at 2 o'clock because I have an important staff meeting to attend. But what I thought about, we can have the lecture at 8 o'clock. What do you say to that? Is that okay to change my condition? It's a consultative process. Mr. Hadebe, Mr. Kumalu, can I change my condition of service between you and I? I don't want to cancel the lecture. I want to still have it on Monday at 8. Is that okay, Mr. Hadebe?
Yes, it's all right, sir. It's fine.
Ah, thank you, thank you. So you get to grips with what I'm talking about per conditions in terms of you and me, and now, but we are talking about in terms of the business, right? What's the vendor data, the vendor master data? So we did this on Monday as well, where we looked at a vendor. A vendor contains all the necessary information needed to do business with a supplier. So this SAP S/4HANA Fiori Launchpad database master data has all the vendors that we deal with. It's used primarily by the purchasing and accounting departments. Every supplier must have a master record and is stored under the business partner. When we do the practical aspect again, I'll revise this procure to pay, and we will look at the vendor master data. If you remember, every business partner, there's a number associated with it, 88996. And there's the get a break 31925 is their code, and they are in Lusaka. And in order to display, oh, by the way, BP is the business partner, is a vendor, and we were able to access their data, right? So just like I used the student example, we can use the get a break. Hey, I can't repeat the same joke. Get a break from me, BREAK. Hey, laugh. Okay. Isn't it weird how we don't laugh at the same joke, but we can cry at the same sorrow? Never mind. Oh, Ms. Jagannath laughed again. Thank you. Thank you. I can see that on my other laptop. Right there. So that's what we're talking about, the vendor master data. Under vendor master groups, they talk about general data, the company code data, the purchasing organizational data. So we did this the other day where we tried and we looked at for the general data, we picked up the name and address of the supplier, the vendor, and I think we even checked the telephone number as well, right? We were able to pick that up. If you don't remember this, please go over Monday's lecture. I'll show you where I'm locating that in the MS Teams group, but it's also on our YouTube channel, IT5B. Right. The S4HANA implementation has introduced the concept of business partner, which combines customer, supplier master data and categorizes them into roles. The business partner is created and the roles necessary for the usage of the business partner are assigned. See, they're using BP, just like what's in the S4HANA Fiori Launchpad apps. Right? The different roles are created on certain organizational levels. F1 vendor, which is necessary to use the BP in F1 based purchasing posting, and read. I'm going to forward this document to you so you'll be able to see it. In the role of the business partner, the name and address of the business partner is entered. The currency used for transactions with the vendor. Oh, this reminds me of the lecture that I had on Monday with Mr. S. Maniram, and I asked him to extract the currency that was going to be used to pay the supplier. And looking at the S4HANA Fiori Launchpad app, we were able to, not me, him, he was able to pick out the currency. Now, you must remember that the Zambikes company and the organization okay, great, I'm connected. Okay. Am I with you? Yay. All right. So we can answer these questions about the currency, the terms of the payment, the names of important contacts, and right. And the next module or unit that we're going to be talking about is the accounting processes involved. And what I realized is that in order for me to ensure that you have a good grip of the accounting unit, you need to ensure that this procure to pay unit, you understand all these concepts. So I'll spend a little extra time in terms of weeks. We'll complete this, and I'm supposed to finish my lectures by the end of November. And I'm trying not to give you 8 assessments like what I did in the first semester. I'm trying to cut that down and hopefully hope that maybe we'll have a face-to-face examination. What do you think of that? Would you like to come and meet me in the exam Ritson Hall? And we'll have our assessment done in the hall.
So can I ask a question? Do you think for the rest of our exams or other modules, we're going to be writing our exams at school?
Hey, I don't know, Miss Mbele. Is that Miss Mbele? Well,
yes,
I'm hoping, Miss Mbele, because we moved down to lockdown level, right? And I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks, you know,
we're going to move down to level 1.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. And last night we received an email from the management that said that they are allowing more staff to enter DUT. So obviously with COVID protocols in place. And one of the courses is that I'm going to be doing in October. They are allowing us to come in because the only way we can do the practicals is if we are on campus.
Okay.
So I hope and I suspect and pray that this lockdown we come down to end, because I'm missing the students. I'm missing the face-to-face interaction. I'm all here. I'm talking to a laptop, and I'm worried about the assessments. Not just for us. I'm fortunate in that I have postgrad students, but the undergraduate lecturers are concerned with the integrity of the assessments. So we're hoping that towards the end of November, the beginning of December, that maybe, God willing, they'll allow us to have at least face-to-face examinations. Obviously, we'll have to have it spaced out, and like if there's 30 in my class, we'll spread them out across the entire written exam hall, and yeah, it will be like one major exam or test or something to that effect. And obviously we'll have to have a supplementary thereafter, but it's still in the talks phase. Nothing has taken place where we can say, hey, this is for sure. But I can assure you they are moving in that direction. Okay, Ms. Mbele, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Right, so let's look at multiple vendor master data groups. Here's the client, and the client will have a particular number. I think you should know that. The company code US00. Hey, look at our company code, ZM00. Isn't that cool? Y'all, I'm sure you'll remember that from S4HANA, the ZM code. The purchasing organization code ZM00. Well, you know that we're dealing with the Zambikes because all of you have usernames. And I'm hoping to start to mark the first assessment that I gave you, where I asked you for your username and the number of apps that are there. So now it should make sense as to why I'm insisted on all of you having a username and password, so that this just doesn't become a theoretical work. When I spoke to another lecturer who did this course last year, he said, no, just do the theory with the students. You can do a demonstration. And I said, no, I want every single student to have their own username. I want every single student to have a password. And he said, but you know what will happen with students? They will forget their username. They will forget their password. They will expect you to reset their password. Didn't that happen with you? Huh? Okay, not with Ms. Jagannath for that matter, or Ms. Mbele. It happened with, I know, Mr. Maniram. I had to give him a username 050, right? I hope when he's listening to this recording, he thinks that I am talking about him, because he doesn't come for the full-time lectures, and he gives me extra work to have a part-time lecture for him. Okay, so we now talk about the code, and I'm happy that you will try this out, right? And I was, believe it or not, I was actually thinking of this as a form of an assessment. I can have a one-on-one assessment between you and I can ask you to log into S4HANA. I can ask you to open up a particular app. I can ask you to open up the procurement or the materials management, and I'll ask you to generate a purchase order. Wow, what do you think of that? Mr. Hadebe, what do you think of that? Isn't that a cool idea for an assessment online, you and I?
Very cool, sir. Very cool, very cool.
Thank you, Mr. Hadebe. Thank you, Mr. Hadebe. Right? But for now, the one assessment that I'm going to, and please submit it. If you can't submit it by MS Teams, you can email it to me, and I promise I'll give you good marks, right? Because that'll be the first assessment. Okay, let's look at the next one, which is the materials master data. Now, again, I did this with you on Monday, and some of you, I started it last week with you. And if you look at it, it would give you the brake kit. There's this brake kit, BRAKE. And like Mr. Tiriska Jagannath mentioned, that they are selling bicycles, and in order to sell bicycles, they had to buy tires, they had to buy brakes, and they had to ensure that there's brake kits available. And the supplier or the vendor was Get a Brake. Under the materials master data, you can think of this as a separate app or a little unit within the company. It contains all the information that a company needs pertaining to a particular material. When I talk about material, don't think about material like, you know, the fashion, the material that makes your dresses and your clothes and all of that. Ha ha ha. Oh, man. Let me try this again. When I'm talking about materials, don't think about the materials I'm talking about, like the materials that make your dresses and your pants and your jeans. Ha ha ha. Oh, Mr. Jagannath is laughing. Thank you, thank you. Oh, Mr. MKZ got the joke, the materials. Right, right, right. See, if Mr. Naya was here, he would have definitely got the joke. Right? I'm so happy. Who else is laughing there? Big smile. Okay, so the materials that they're talking about, you can think of it as what are the components that are used to make the bicycle. Description of the materials procured. Procured means the description of that they need to buy. And where do they need to keep this? Remember, I was talking to you about the gas companies in the UK and how they did not foresee that they need to store the gas because they now have to buy it back from the people that they sold it to. What are we using this within the SAP ERP system? We'll be using it for sales and distribution, materials management, production, plant maintenance, accounting, and quality management. Let's go on. You can read all of this when I email it to you. Material master view. Again, reading. And look at all the views that we have. The basic data view, the purchasing, the general plant data. Now, when I email this to you or I upload this to MS Teams or Moodle, by the way, Moodle is available. Somebody asked me why didn't I create the Moodle class, but it's just too much right now. So we'll stick to Teams, and when we have an assessment, I'll probably use Moodle. What are some of the materials master data grouping? We know the client, the plant, MU00. Hey, now this begins to make sense. Remember on Monday, they had MU00 when we clicked on the magnifying glass. Now you'll be able to gather why they have this code for MU00, or in our case, or another one was ZM00. Right? Purchasing Information Record, or PIR, is a framework for the purchase order. If I want to buy something, I need to give a purchase order or an intent to buy. What's the quantity? What's the price? What's the value added tax on that? What are the terms of the sale or whatever, right? This can be either created manually or automatically. Now, this is the nice thing about using a SAP ERP system, in that if you have one of the employees in the business, they go and buy something and they update it immediately. So the system in the background will update that the stock has been increased. Let's say, for instance, they bought 2 tires. The stock, when there was 100 tires, now there's going to be 102 tires. And automatically the bank, obviously, if the accountant has to say, okay, we're going to buy it and allow it to process in terms of the payment, the bank balance will now decrease because they made an EFT, an electronic funds transfer, to their supplier. Right, so that's where they talk about automatically purchase orders are created and updated accordingly. What else it's used to do? It's used to store the details, which vendor is offered, right? We spoke about that. We did an example with that. Let's go on. Right, let's talk about this. We mentioned very briefly about conditions. What are the conditions or agreements between the vendors about the prices, the surcharges, and the discounts? So if I come up with an idea like, hey, if you buy 1,000 units from me, I will give you a discount of 10%. Or if you pay within 30 days, I will give you a discount of 5%. However, if you take 2, 3, 4 months to pay, then every additional month, I'm going to charge you 2% interest on the outstanding balance. Okay, so let me tell you another condition that I have on an account. I've got a credit card. And within 55 days, if I pay my credit card off, I don't pay the interest. But if I take more than 55 days to pay my account, then whatever's my outstanding balance, I get charged interest on that. All right. So that's what I mean by conditions in terms of this procure to pay SAP S/4HANA Fiori Launchpad units. Some of the conditions that can be maintained when entering quotations, for example, the contracts, the scheduling agreements, and the purchase order. The following types of conditions are used in purchasing. Conditions in a contract apply to all contract release orders created with reference to that contract. Conditions in a purchasing information record apply to all purchase items that contain the material and vendor in the purchasing information record. The general conditions, if a vendor has a price reduction on all purchase orders as a 2-month special offer. That's what I said. If within 2 months you make a payment or you buy for a certain amount, you will get a price reduction. Okay. So far, so good. Are we happy? We okay with this? Just give me a thumbs up or a smiley face. I can't see any of you. Yay, I can see a thumbs up. That's cool. So let's talk about the master data summary. Now, this is the practical work that we will have to do in our, they call it a workshop or a lab session. If we were on campus, I would have taken you into the lab and you would have been sitting in front of a computer. You would have logged into the S/4HANA Fiori Launchpad. You would have went into the master data and you would have looked for get a break. The vendor get a break with the code and the standard purchasing order. And now I'm looking at him to say, hey, there's the master vendor data. There's the material master data. Here's the purchasing info. And here's my conditions. So my conditions work like this. I'm going to give you a discount, a net value discount, and how many percent, what's my actual price, what's my, how many I'm going to buy. Well, get a break, I think they only sell brakes for the bicycles, right? But you get to grips with how the theory fits in with the practical work that you and I are going to do. So tomorrow and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you have some time to play around with the Fiori Launchpad. Go ahead and try out the master vendor data records. Go and try out the materials master. Go and try out to check what it is. And if you look at the MS Teams files tab, I have all the instructions out there for you. You can either split your screen in two, or what Mr. Maniram wants to do, he wants to print it all out. Well, he's rich, he can print it, and he wants to follow the instructions step by step. Or if you have two computers, or maybe you have a tablet or your cell phone, you can keep the notes on one and you can read and try and use it on the other. All right, so there we go. And I think I'll stop at this point. I'm looking at my time. It's 14:43 and process. All right. Or you can read all of this. You can look at this, and I will go through this with you in detail. Right, so let's look at the MS. Let me upload this to MS Teams. I'm going to upload this to my MS Teams. Let's go to my Teams, so you see it out there. There's it under Files. Under files, I've got the oh, TP Butilesi, what is this? Okay, it's gone. Let's go under the ISIFA resources. So the first one was the how you navigate in S/4HANA. Then I had the fundamentals of the Zambikes company. And now I'm going to upload the file that says procure to pay. Let's go to procure to pay. There's it, right? Procure to pay. And it should be uploading. Yay, there we go. There's procure to pay. So I'd like you to go and access procure to pay. Double click, it should open and you can download. If you need to download it, click on the button up there and you click on download, right? It'll download it to your computer. Or maybe y'all want me to email it to you now? You want me to email it? Hello, would you like me to email it? Or you want me to put it to WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp group?
Yes.
You want it in the WhatsApp group or email, tell me? Or both or all? Okay, I'm going to email it to everybody. And I'm going to send it in the WhatsApp group. And it's in MS Teams. What do you think of that? Am I good or what? Oh, Mr. Butilesi sent me assignment 1 now. Oh my goodness. Right, so there's my procure to pay PDF notes. My procure to pay. Oopsie, I spelled that wrong. Ah, no. Right, it's the same notes, 1 to 40, yeah. Right, procure to pay. Dear IT5 SAP S/4HANA student, how are you? Please find attached. Oops, I need a capital letter H. Please find attached today's notes. Procure to pay. We covered the notes from the first page to page. What page was that? Oops, I forgot what page it was. Until page 19. So until we cover the notes from the first page to page 19. Please read and try to implement in the S/4HANA Fiori environment. Is it cool? You're going to try it out there in the SPO, right? Regards, your IT5B lecturer. I think you know who I am, so it's okay. Ta-da! Oh yes, someone said that they wanted it on the WhatsApp because now they're going to be reading their WhatsApp messages and they're not going to look at all the funny jokes that people send them. They're going to be reading my notes on WhatsApp. Yay, I sent it. And also you will be looking at my YouTube videos, my YouTube channel. Let's see how many likes I have, how many views I have. Information Technology 5B. Ah, man, Monday's lecture I only got 7 views. Oh man. Oh man, I only got 7 views. Chiliska, will you go and click and make another view there for me, please?
Okay, so I'll do that later after this lecture.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Let's do that now. Let's try and share the content, and we'll have 8 views. Hey, why did you? And how this procure to buy and to purchase, and we're going to try out our user thing. Would that be okay, Mr. Naya? What do you say?
Sounds good, sir.
Sounds good. Oh. Okay, Kumalo, how are you with that? Cool.
Cool, sir. Good, sir.
Good, yeah. Good. Okay. Miss Mbele, are you there? Miss Mbele, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir. I'm here.
Oh, great. Good to see you. And I'm not to see you, well, I'm actually can hear you, right? Okay.
Yes, you can hear me.
Great. So what I've done is I've actually uploaded the documents. Okay, right. That was fun. Oh man, it never changed to 7. It only was 7 views. Let me go make it 8 views. Let's open it up again. Oh, it's still 7 views. Oh man, I'm not that famous. Let me go see another lecture there. Let's watch my other videos. Where's my channel? IT5V. Let's go and look at last week's lecture. How many views I got there? 36 views. Wow. Lecture. Wow. Thank you for making it 36 views. Yeah, Mr. Naya, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Naya. I think you came a bit late to see us. Okay. All righty then. So it's 15 minutes. I'll call it a day. Let's try and save our data. And let's do our goodbyes. Oh, there's my camera on. Right. There's my camera on. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. I'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock for the part-time lecture. I hope some of the part-time joins me, and I'll continue with or repeat. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye, Mr. Naya. Goodbye, Mr. Kokoto. Goodbye. Goodbye.